It's loading.
Okay, give me a sec. I think I know where this is written down.
I'll get my cushion.
Okay, here we are. It's loading.
Okay, give me a sec. I think I know where this is written down.
I think you have your browser on.
I turned it off.
Oh.
It is called The Last Screenwriter,
Ah,
and you should
Okay.
find it, and you should find it very easily.
Hold that thought. I'm just going to introduce us.
Good.
This is Art Matters New York, and we're here with our group. My name is Mark Zaffin. I'm here with Hans Vici
Hi, everyone.
Right.
and some of our members are regulars in the group, Marie, Barbara, and Anita. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Hi.
So we were talking about sort of AI, at least dipping into that.
Yeah.
You want to continue with what you're saying, Anita?
Oh, all right. It's just I heard about this thing that happened in London. There was almost a riot because they planned to put on a film in Piccadilly written by AI entirely. The script itself was entirely written by AI, and it sort of banned itself because people were lining up outside ready to riot, And
Here's my
so-
question. Here's my question.
Yeah, go on.
Did AI initiate this project, or did a human being initiate?
No, a human being said, AI, please write me a script.
It wasn't
Yes.
just it just wasn't a
No, it wasn't like AI saying, I'm going to fly your plane for you now. It wasn't like that.
okay.
It has to be,
Well,
it has to be
that's-
asked.
Well,
It
that's
still has to be
reassuring.
asked. Yes.
that's in the future.
That's in the
That's
future. That's
reassuring.
right. Yes. So yes. And so it's called The Last Screenwriter. And
So-
you can find it on YouTube. And we watched it last night, and it was what can I say? It was boring.
So AI has no designs of infiltrating Hollywood.
No, but you have
its
to
own.
worry.
But
But you have to worry about the people who are now calling workers' production tax. Okay, they're basically that somewhere in Hollywood or someplace they're going to say, oh well, we can get AI to do this. We don't need a scriptwriter anymore.
Yeah.
That was what the riot was about. It's basically, and that is possible. That's quite entirely possible. Is like, why don't we get an AI to do a good sci-fi for us?
Yeah, I just read a similar thing about the music industry and songwriting, because songs are obviously,
Yes, of course.
simpler
Yes,
than,
yes.
writing a
Oh.
script or
Mm.
directing a movie. It's much simpler, and the returns are, as great, or can be. And so the record companies are trying to write out, or can at least imagine writing out the writers, the
Well,
composers
it's obviously
of the song,
something we're all
and replace
facing.
them.
Yeah.
And replace them.
Yeah.
And then they would own the copyrights and own the
Exactly. It's much cheaper if AI can
Much
do it for
cheaper.
the people
Much
who are
cheaper.
producing. Yeah.
Human
Okay.
beings are expensive,
Yeah,
Well,
I can see it happening with television commercials, but even there, it takes away a lot of work from people.
Yeah.
well,
Mm.
we will see what we're going to see in the next 2 or 3 years, I suppose, about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's going to definitely infiltrate the industry,
mean-
all industries.
I'm a poet as well. And I know I looked at AI out of curiosity, okay, to see what it can do. And I have to say, it can be quite startling if you ask it to do what you've written in iambic pentameter, like the Shakespearean thing. But it's not very exciting, but it can do it like that. And so you can see
yeah.
arrangements of rhythm and stuff
Right.
that I wouldn't have thought of. But when I asked it to do my poem in the style of T.S. Eliot, for instance, it was awful. It's just awful, really awful. And it was a bit like that movie. It was really a bad movie.
But here's the thing about AI, which someone mentioned to me,
Yeah,
which is what makes it extremely scary.
Yeah.
is that we can sit here now and we could say it's really awful, right?
Yeah.
But AI, computers never sleep.
I know.
So they're just doing this 24/7, every single,
Mm.
well, 24/7, that, right?
Yeah.
So they're improving, they're exploring their,
Mm.
large language models or whatever. And, it's like, it's not just one, but it's multiple, um, I don't even know what you would call it, you know, um,
Uh,
AI, computers. I don't know what is there another word for it? But
Well,
they're working constantly, every second,
yes, yes.
developing, you
so
know,
they're going to learn.
perfecting
They're
the
going
language.
to be learning very
They're
fast.
learning. They're learning. Correct. That's it.
Yeah.
And they never
Yeah.
stop.
Uh,
And they go and they work very, very quickly. So
I
uh,
still haven't tried anything with AI, but Mark, I think you had given us a website for what to use if we wanted to.
all you have to do is go to your browser, like Google
Okay,
or any one of them, and they all
Safari. Yeah.
yeah, Safari maybe. They're all working now, with AI, whatever, generators. And so, like if you go to Google, there is an icon, and you just click the icon, and you can either use a microphone, or you can add, a photograph, or you can, do multiple things, and AI will respond accordingly to your prompts. All of them,
It's a
all of the
very
browsers.
odd
Yeah.
thing. I mean, at this moment, I'm still not afraid of it. I'm afraid of people. I'm not afraid of it because obviously when you put it to use, but it's what a strange time we're living in because all the great art is locked up in Switzerland as a sort of backup for people's wealth. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
And on the one end, and then on the other
Yes.
end, we're talking about AI taking over the art world. And at some
And all
point,
of Hans's stuff is in archives in Switzerland.
yes, I know.
You know,
And it's like and exactly, so that we're in a very odd time, and I'm sure there'll be a backlash at some point. There has to be.
here's something that's interesting. I think I mentioned this also about, 6 weeks ago or whatever. I went to the Printed Matter book fair in Manhattan, in New
Oh
York
yeah,
City.
yeah.
There was a huge turnout. And it was in the former Dia building, which is a
Okay.
5-story building. It was filled with exhibitors or publishers, and it was just overwhelming, the response. And they had to literally turn people away. And last weekend, I went to a smaller fair, a much, much smaller fair in Kingston, New York, and a book fair, which also had a huge turnout. And everyone agreed that people want to hold something real. All the
Yes.
people there wanted to touch something, and all of the
Oh.
books, have a physical, I mean, not only just by
Yes.
virtue of books, but because the designers, the publishers, the writers, and everyone involved
Yes.
is into making an object, a
Yes.
very considered object. And people and the public is really, really responsive. They want something in the real world again. So I think that part of the reaction, I don't know, maybe it's just a result of social media. I don't know. And it's the hip thing to do. I don't know. But you would think that there's also people want to, get out, from behind the screen.
Yeah.
And, their whole experience of the world now is through an intermediary, a filter, the screen, and want to, explore and touch the world again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the turnout was amazing. And interestingly, these books were they were selling so quickly, and they could be anywhere from, $25 to a couple of $100,
Right.
for a book, beautiful book, an art book, or a
Yeah.
limited edition,
So
made
glad
out
to
of
hear that.
Mm.
papers or materials or whatever.
Did you
And
purchase something?
I did in New York. Actually, I did Oh yeah, so I purchased a great book by it's not here. I'm looking around. It's not here. It's in my house. But it was by a very small press. I believe that is like, two men, partners. One lives in Brooklyn, the other lives up here, I think in Kingston. Can't remember the name of it. I'll let you know next year. But it was a collection of the journal entries of Charles Birchfield. You know Birchfield, the
Yeah.
watercolorist and
Oh,
Yeah, and
visionary painter.
printmaker also. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But
yeah.
he was
Birchfield.
considered a visionary artist,
yeah.
and he kept these exhaustive journals from
Okay.
his 16th year until
Right.
his death. And I think he left like I can't remember the number, just a huge number of journals. And this was a sort of a curated, a selection by the one of the publishers, along with paintings,
How
examples of
fascinating.
paintings. And it's just this beautiful book.
How
It's very
cool.
simple. It
Yeah.
was very inexpensive. I think $20, something like that,
Oh,
and beautiful. So I'm just
yeah.
reading. It's really amazing.
Oh,
He was a
that
super
sounds great.
hypersensitive guy that he was
Yeah.
definitely a synesthete, so color was as visual to him then, and not color, the world of sound,
Okay.
was fluid,
Right.
was visual, and the visual world produced sounds for him,
Oh,
and really, it's great,
oh boy.
That's
really
like a
nice.
great
So that was
book.
one of the books I bought.
Right.
You
How
know,
long ago was this printed? Was
I
it?
think recently.
Oh, it's a recent book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's recent.
Oh,
These are all contemporary publishers at these book fairs.
Charles Birchfield?
Charles Birchfield.
well,
We could look
yes.
at his work later. We could get
Yeah.
into.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that'd be great. I
interesting,
haven't
yes.
seen anything in
He's
years.
sort of kind of reemerging. There's an interest in him again.
Yeah, he's at the Whitney too, I think, hasn't
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
you know, I'm actually quite also a digital person, collecting things. And do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
yeah.
And but just to go after what Mark said, that people want to have something in their hand. What I did, I have also a diary, which it's not just all the time, but it's a diary which I started in 1974 when I was 20, and it goes to this day. And what I did is actually, this was just on the computer. But then I decided I want to have it printed out actually, because that I have something in my hand.
Yes.
And then I made this book. I made 2 books out of it, and it's you
Oh,
see
wow.
What?
That's incredible. Yes.
that type of Bible. You
Wow.
see this
Nice, beautiful.
this thing
That's
here.
amazing.
That's
You see
remarkable.
that?
Wow.
And so it's and I show I maybe show a little bit of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Love to see
absolutely.
it.
Yes.
Let's take a look.
You
I
know,
love the
I mean,
title.
just you see a little bit. You see.
What is Hans? What do the letters represent on the cover?
The letters represent a very. I had very long time how I wanted to have it.
Oh,
Because
what is KGTB?
exactly. I tell you, KG is the German word of Krankengeschichte, meaning doctor's report, the doctor's report.
Okay. Okay.
Sort of, TB some people mean it's tuberculosis.
Yes,
No,
that's my first thought.
no, it's a Tagebuch, means in
Yes.
German diary. The
Oh,
diary,
Okay,
okay.
all right.
the diary.
Okay.
Oh.
DP means in a way of the person, der Person,
Okay.
or of the patient.
Okay.
It could
Ah.
be both. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Yes.
You can
Yeah,
read
yeah.
it as a Krankengeschichte des Patienten Hans Vici or das Tagebuch der Person Hans Vici. And then comes here the
Yeah.
1974. So
Right.
you know, and so it has over 1,000 pages, and you see it has at the beginning, you know, there was
Oh.
no computer. These are
Oh, I love that.
see that you know, this is typewritten things,
Yes.
and it started actually also with what I ate, and you know, my it's about it. That then that you know, many things, and then later on comes really the whole very fine print. You see, it's on purpose because I didn't
Yes.
want to make 2 books or 3 books,
Right.
and so it goes on and on and on, and then they have a section here, which, let me see something, just to, yeah, and then you have this section of his, you know, history of the person, some notes, you know, you have then these photographs, you see that,
Yes.
Yeah.
you see that a little
Yeah.
bit, you know,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
where I grew up, you see, where I grew up.
Yes.
Then, you know how, that's me, you know, when I was 9 months old.
Oh, yes, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
You see a lot, you know, that's me when I was 16 or 15, drawing, you know, in the bed. This is in southern France, on the Mont Ventoux. You see on the right, you see that photograph?
Yes, I
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And
Beautiful
then it
photo.
has a huge, that's me too, and
Wow.
here as you see, like
Right.
several identities. Then here, that's also in Zurich, and then a fast, that's me in the studio here. So point is, you know, it's then has some other stuff, and then comes actually the most important part. Here you have also empty pages to make some notes, but then here is actually the index. You see that?
Oh, my goodness.
And the index is actually the real art piece of it, because you find all terms here. I would say about 95%.
Like what kind of terms?
Yeah, like let's say mais salad, mais, maître de cabine, makrele, you know, everything, you know, in German and English, just what is it? And then with the page, you know, you can go there and you will find that section, you know. So this is actually the real art piece, this index. You know what I'm saying? And so and it's heavy, you know, it's about
Yes.
5 pounds or whatever.
Yes, yes.
And you know, and I had really this urge to do that, just to have something physically in my hand.
Yeah.
Because you know, when you know the computer is always only it's at the same dimension, whatever gigabyte you have stored, it's always the same.
Yeah.
Right.
And if there is an outage, you can't go to your files, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And I thought I want to have something printed out, you know. And so it became like this art piece, you know. It's not a book to read, you know what I'm saying. You have my blood pressure.
Amazing.
You can see the blood pressure, everything in there, you know.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
and so on.
Oh, wow.
Hans, let me ask you, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What has been, because I know a lot of people do journals, and they get a lot out of it. I've actually started to do a gratitude journal recently.
Mhm.
But what has been the major advantage for you to have such a detailed journal and then print it?
It's just, for me, it's an art piece, it's not a book to read, basically. But the point is, it's like all these records I just stored, because
So is it like
I put everything in a database, and once you have that, you organize this information somehow. You can print it out. You can,
is it like doing a self-portrait?
Not, I don't know. It's self-portrait. It's a little bit. No, it's also, I was interested in the absurdity also of it,
The absurdity of so much
it's
detail, the
absurd,
absurdity of what? Why is it so absurd?
Yeah, because life is absurd, sometimes you have a feeling it's completely absurd, what's going on? What are
Yes.
we doing
Well,
here?
I think if I understood it, that some of them, you've done a whole lot of stuff where all the words are too small to read, but it's made a pattern.
Yes.
That you did, which is like you're literally going through the mirror into Wonderland here,
Yes.
just seeing what the computer does with too small print. Where I've done that by mistake, when you sometimes alter the size or the lines between sentences. If you do it by mistake, suddenly it does that weird thing and it just makes a sort of scribble.
Yes.
So you've done that, which I think is brilliant.
Exactly. And what I think, as I said, this index was, for me, is actually the real sort of important part of that book.
Yeah.
Because usually, if you don't have an index, you don't find anything. You have to read, or you have to make your notes or whatever. And this index is so absurd because even misspelled words I didn't correct. I just did in the index too.
Right.
So and I and also in this diary I invented also words when I described something. So you have few words. You have but of course, when let's say hamburger, I don't know how many entries that has. I would have to look it up.
Hans, I've got an idea for a great story. Imagine if there's a terrible conflagration and 6,600 years go by and human beings come back and they find your book. It'll be the new Bible. Scholars will look at it. They will build universities.
Yes.
But I like the book because it's printed in Switzerland. It's a wonderful made book.
Yes, I can see.
Beautiful. It's lovely.
I made two books.
It's brilliant.
I love it. About $1,400. But
look,
it's
you've got
it
one.
looks like this.
Yes.
It's just a sketchbook.
Yes.
It has that same kind of beautiful simplicity.
Yes, the simplicity. Yes.
I have another one.
They did an incredible good job, this printing company. But my computer several times crashed almost because of the index. Because there is in Word you have a program which you index pages, but then each time all the other numbers change too.
Yeah.
Once you understand so it's like what I'm saying. It has always to compute the new numbers and everything where now stuff is, and it's crazy, I tell you.
Wow.
And it took me months to do the index, months.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an incredible.
Not to get back to our original point, but that's something AI could have done a lot easier. Making it once, right? You would just put search in and
The thing is, AI wouldn't have made any mistakes.
Because
so
AI can simulate it by pretending he ate also some French fries on April the 2nd. You know what I'm saying? it could simulate the thing, but it wouldn't be true. In my case, it's true. I ate those French fries. Then. So that you have to eat them and then you write it down. What happened?
Yes, yes, okay.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Is that
I tell
kind
you,
of like
some people ask me, even I have a friend, a German writer, Ulrike Heider. She called me up one time and said, listen, can you look up when this and this happened? And it was very important for her tax preparer or IRS because she and she knew that I write everything down, you know.
Okay.
So
Oh,
she you know what I'm saying? So
yes, yes.
she referred to me and asked, when do you remember when that was? I said, yeah, I'll look it up right away.
You know, what's interesting is that, you know, the internet, our histories, you know, everything on the internet is now part of, you know, the human record. It's part of the record. And it's all, you know, it's all binary. It's all, you know,
Yes,
stored?
absolutely.
it's all stored in the language and, you know, of you know, the computers. You know, but just think of the incredible, I mean, just think of everything that we have stored personally, that from our computers, everything on the cloud, on various
Yes,
storage
yes,
facilities.
yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
And
similar.
sadly stored as
It's
well.
similar in some respect because it's so banal, but yet for some reason we're storing it all. You know, and
Google in Google, it's even a function you can, and then they tell you each month where you
yeah,
were and where you know, it's like the same thing, basically.
we just have the capacity to do that now. We have the ability to do it, and so we're doing it. You know, and it's a useful tool in many respects. It's certainly useful for marketing, commerce, and you know, business, and people are making money from.
Sure, yeah.
You know,
Right.
so it has certain uses, and so you know, it has also a poetic use. You know, an artistic. You know, we can play with it. We can, you know, and
But right. But what I want to say is, you know, also this book happened not, that was not a project that I said, oh, I want in 20 or 30
yeah,
years, I
yeah,
want to make a book.
right.
I made these notes because I have maybe stomachache all the time. I wanted to figure out why. You know, that's how you find out maybe if you eat something bad or you drink too
Yeah,
much, how you
Yeah,
feel.
okay, all right.
You know, that you take notes. And then once you have more, it's like the handbook. You start to collect your notes. You
yeah,
don't throw it away. You give it a form at the end. You have a book. You know, it's like
right,
Yeah.
right.
it's also the process, as Billy rightly said last time. You know, when she was here.
Yeah.
About.
Oh,
So that's but it came only to mind because Mark said people want to have something in their hand because the whole world is sort of just idea or TV or film and nothing happening with your hands, you know,
Yes.
yeah.
or with your
Mm.
and it's, you know. Yeah.
Somebody once gave me a book with scraps of Emily Dickinson. It's absolutely lovely. It's a bit like your book. You've got photographs of your writing in there. So
Right.
literally backs of envelopes, little bits of this, that. And it's a
I have
lovely
a
book
book
to
here.
have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. To see her, you know.
You
Well,
know, you know, one day maybe it might be interesting to have a class about books.
yes.
We can talk about books, you know, like and you know, like Ed Ruscha
Up to.
made, you know, books when in you know the 60s
Right.
that are, you know, that sort of set a certain kind of standard for art books and have been, you know, have been emulated over the years. You know, just
Yeah,
a
that would
very,
be great.
very simple, banal, beautiful, you know, approach, ironic as, you know, Boucher is want to be, but also, you know, beautiful design, you know, beautiful text, and just consideration of the whole thing as as an art form.
Yeah.
In Boucher's, you know, case, just, you know, the irony and the banality is sort of what's.
Yes, I have something I could present on that day. Anne Carson, who's a Canadian poet, and she's done some extraordinary books, which you
Yeah.
know, come out of left field.
We can do that sometime.
Yeah,
It'll be,
it'll be fun because it kind of encourages you to do your own, like Hans stuff. I mean, the possibility is there.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, we can go down a wormhole, can't we?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, you never know. If people stumble on us, they might find it very inspirational. You know,
Yeah.
because, I mean, it's
You know, I can't remember. Like I was reading. You know, you don't even know what you read anymore because we
Yeah.
are moving around so quickly and reading little snippets of things everywhere. But I read that I think 100,000 songs a minute or something like that. I can't remember the number anymore, are uploaded into the, various streaming platforms like every day, like every minute, like 100,000 pieces of music are uploaded like onto Spotify or Apple, tunes or something like that. I can't even remember. I'm confusing the actual statistics, but it's a huge number. So that whole world, of access and of that's sort of public, but yet it's just metastasizing in a way.
Mm.
And yeah, it's
it is. I have to
interesting
say,
what it all means.
yeah. Well, I think it depends which angle you have. I mean, it's certainly not set up for a writer anymore. And I would say that computers in the last 5 years have gotten far more complex and much less efficient.
Oh.
I would say if you are a writer, because the way they store stuff, since the iCloud, it's like suddenly you've got your stuff in 3 or 4 different places. And if you happen on the wrong place, you end up confused. I had to be very, very careful with editing that I don't end up with several things that don't match, that sort of thing. So I have to put work in to actually organize it on my desktop, not let it disappear into the bowels, because it's very hard to find. As I say, I can see it's set up for people to work in offices around the place and to see each other's work. I can see it's set up for that. But if you're a writer, it's almost back to the computer. It's almost back to the typewriter again. You know what I'm saying? Where you can keep it, because it's almost like, what you're doing, you have to keep it in your head.
Right.
Okay. And the further along you are, the more you have to keep in your head. Well, if it all goes on the computer and gets sort of copied and sent to different places, it's sort of sucked out of your head and it gets confusing.
That's where Hans he's really on top of his production and everything is sort of consolidated. He can find anything, right?
Bravo.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what he was talking about. Like the index of the book is like the most important thing.
Yes.
And and when we look into your archive, of painting, or even if it's Art Student League, some student, some student's painting, he can find it. It's great.
Because I simply give all the photographs a date and a name or maybe a keyword, and once you do that, and not just with numbers, usually you have EMG 4877. You don't know what that is. You have to give a name, and then you find stuff. That's what computer is for, actually.
Yeah, computers are good at that.
People don't use really the computer the right way, because the computer can do a lot of things.
Absolutely.
But
you have to program it, of course, sort of a little bit.
Yeah, but exactly. It takes an effort.
Takes an effort.
Yeah.
That's right. It's so true.
But then it gets interesting, then it, as for me at least.
Yeah.
I just don't. I just would never do that. I'm not that interested in all of the details of my life like that. I just find it fascinating that you are, and that you have this innate, like, interest in all of that. I find that fascinating, even more than your ability to reference things in your
But you see,
process.
you know, some maybe a psychologist would say this is so neurotic, and it's just this guy has wants to control everything. And do you understand? You can like pathologize everything, you know.
No,
But
I
that's in
find
art
it,
always, you know. There are artists, they, you know, they make each day they write the number. What's the name? The German guy,
Yeah, that's right.
for years, just
Yes,
numbers, numbers,
yes,
numbers, numbers. You can say,
that's
"Oh, this
right.
is so stupid. What is it?" You know, but that was his art, you know. And
Yeah, what was his name?
yeah, yeah, I forgot.
I think he was German or Swiss, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think he was German. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm not saying it's neurotic. I find it fascinating.
yeah. There
I,
is
I'm
many
not
neurotic things
denigrating
going on.
it. I just have, it just, for myself,
You wouldn't do it, right? You don't.
I can't imagine. But you're, what fascinates me about you, Hans, is that you're so left, which they say isn't true anymore. But,
No.
your brain is both creative and super, logical. Both those parts, are like very strong. So again, I don't find it negative. I just find it
Yeah,
fascinating.
right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like looking at other people's art, it's just, I love the look into how you think. And
Mhm.
I guess that's what's great about art and great about people doing different
Mm.
things that I would never
Mm.
think of.
Yes.
Mm.
You know,
Be-
go ahead, Hans.
Maybe maybe I'm a digital hoarder, for instance.
Oh,
Maybe.
You know what
digital.
I'm saying?
What if
I
you
I
were?
collect,
love
I,
that.
I, I collect many things because it's easy, but I like to collect things for some reason.
Well,
So
what
and
happens
let
in,
go, it's a psychological
yeah,
condition people have.
that's,
Some
yeah,
people
that's,
are messy in their
yeah,
life. You can't walk through their apartment because it's
yeah.
full of stuff. And maybe I'm a digital messy, and try to, it could be, it's like there are many forms,
Yeah.
which you can
But who
always.
cares? Whatever. I'm just curious from a interest standpoint, like what happens to you internally when you see these collections of hands, collections of well, what you liked the best was the index, not even the information, the ability to access all the information. So what happens to you? Do you feel happy? You feel
I feel completely happy.
it
You
makes you
know,
happy.
once it's done, I think it's
It's
just
done.
it
Oh.
is crazy, and it's so futile also. It's not I mean, the handbook is very nice to
Yeah, to look at.
look at. Maybe, I mean, this book is also nice, but I mean, it's not, you're not gonna need to read those pages, they are
Right.
boring at
Sure.
the end,
Right.
but still it's about information, and if you want to know something, or it's, you see also how your life is repeating, and time goes by, and what you do is just eat and sleep, and and I mean, it's like, what I'm saying, it's just it's incredible cycle in a way. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I want to just, then we'll jump into some work, but I wanted to just mention something that I was thinking about recently. I don't live in Manhattan anymore, so I don't even get down there that often, and I don't see that much art in the flesh physically as I used to, which really was, kind of an important part of art making and
Yeah.
enjoyment. And I
Yeah.
realized that recently that I'm becoming completely disinterested, or at least I'm noticing a disinterest in painting. And it's
Oh.
not only personal, what I'm doing,
Oh.
although I do feed off of what's going on around me and feed off of what I see, what other people are
Yes.
doing, going to museums, seeing what painting can do. But I think it's also a function of seeing so much work digitally that it all becomes just
Oh,
monotonous. It's not even that it's
oh,
repetitious, but it's just that it all can be reduced to just an image. That's it. So you're no longer, personally, I'm no longer standing in front of the physical thing anymore and experiencing the physical thing, which, functions on multiple levels. But I'm just seeing images. I don't care what they are. You know what I mean? They could be Matisse, they could be whoever, they could be Francis Bacon, or they could be, something by a contemporary artist,
Yes.
showing at, Miami,
mm,
Basel or whatever. But it's
Right.
just everything is reduced
Mm.
and it's so facile and it's so, there's no commitment that's necessary at all. It just becomes
Yeah.
a cerebral exercise. And I realized that, it's really kind of like weak tea, it's becoming just like a weak thing. It does, and I don't know, has anyone else? I mean, that's something that I've been feeling recently, that I sort of need to turn off all of the the internet, Instagram, even though I'm not on Instagram anymore, I stopped that. But, and just go back and just sit in front of one painting,
oh,
at a museum or a gallery or
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
is anyone else?
So sometimes I just sit in a painting of mine, just looking at it, and just that I don't look at this and this and this. Just to and calm down. Maybe
Right.
an abstract
Mm,
painting, or and just
mhm,
get
yeah,
that feeling of, even you just look 3 minutes on it.
Yeah.
It can feel like a long time.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's very interesting.
yeah.
No, people have no time. It's like this swipe. With this media, the swiping motion. Where
Yeah.
things are like
Uh,
Yeah.
on
yeah,
a tenth of a second. You see things, and
yeah,
you get it in, and
yeah,
makes you nervous and sick. Actually,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
This sounds so very weird, but I don't get into museums much anymore at all. It's just an impossible thing. And I also don't enjoy looking at painting online that much. I just, but so this sounds pathetic, but I have the Met's art calendar.
Oh,
And uh,
not the New York Mets. You mean the Metropolitan Museum,
right, the Metropolitan Museum
not the
of Art
baseball team.
Oh,
Yeah.
you watch
annual,
those?
no,
Okay.
annual calendar. I do watch
Yeah.
baseball,
Yeah.
but not the annual calendar,
Right.
which has 365 images for the
Right.
year.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and I guess it's a little less than that because Saturday and Sunday is one image.
Mm.
So I rifle through some and I wind up taking out some, and some of them are just I just feel I feel almost that same affinity that I do when I'm in front of a painting. And it really is
I wonder,
far more important to me than seeing an image on my iPad or on the computer.
Yes.
but I wonder if that has something to do with the fact that they're familiar images. In other words, they're not paintings that you've never seen before. They're probably paintings that you may have visited, in fact, at the Met or somewhere, and they're part of your experience. Is that a
Somewhat, but
possibility?
that's part of it. But there are also a lot of things from other cultures that sometimes resonate. Yeah, and I discovered this year, I've been getting this calendar for about 3 years. I discovered this year that I don't have to stay with the image for that day. Aha.
You're cheating. You've learned that you can cheat.
No, it's now this dynamic thing where I can select what I want.
Good.
Yeah, yeah.
But
The
I think
other thing-
that's, oh, I'm sorry.
No, what were we going to say?
No, I don't want to interrupt you. You finish.
Oh, I was going to say the other thing that's very much a stimulus, and you all know that I'm not working that much, so it's not that much of a stimulus, but a way to recharge is to be outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
That's important.
yeah, be
You know,
outside. to
I mean,
look.
it's an interesting discussion, how we
Yeah.
consume images, how we engage. I don't want to say consume, but that's the word that's operative these days. But how we engage with paintings now
Yeah, yeah.
in this environment where everything is at our fingertips and everything is
Yeah, and yet,
is reduced and defined accordingly. I don't know. It's an interesting discussion for sure.
it is. Yeah.
How that changes the experience.
Mm.
I mean,
I think-
paintings are something different than they were, in the 19th century, in the early 20th century, in mid 20th century. They're different
Yeah.
today because
Yeah.
we look at them differently. They're in a
Yes.
different
Yeah.
environment. So it's interesting.
So what I also
Yes.
do, I have this notice paper sometime, and maybe I make just something, and then I look the whole day. Makes me happy. This
Yeah.
couple of strokes, or which is nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Just my reflection paper that
Yeah.
I don't, that you know what I'm saying? Because that it's so something nothing, instead of looking at the photograph which has a meaning again. Or,
Yeah.
I'm saying just something which has no meaning.
Yes, yes. Just
That's
the
something,
stroke, the stroke, the contact with the paper. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Mary,
Yes.
we don't hear you. You have said.
Oh, sorry. I think it's really interesting how I think what Mark is saying is that he has like overload of images. And I think that's really interesting because probably at no other time in our human history could you get so many images so easily,
I think it's more than that. I think yes, it's the
I do
number,
too. I think it's important.
but it's also the quality. And in other words, do we experience it just as a little cerebral snapshot?
Yeah.
Or do we experience something in an environment, a physical environment, and we're experiencing a physical thing,
Yeah.
an artist, assembled and constructed?
It's a lot like what you
So
were talking
it-
about when I arrived. You were talking about having this magical experience by a river. Well,
Right.
a picture of it wouldn't do it, would it? You have to be there with the smells and the taste and the sounds and the weight of the atmosphere and the sense of it all,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I
I
think one of the things, sorry.
No, I was just saying that's a very good way to put it, is that
Well,
you don't
another-
have all your
yes.
senses involved.
Exactly. And it's sort of like, and the thing is, I think that it's helpful to think, if you're an artist, it's actually part of your job to go out and see things in the same way you have to buy paint and paintbrush and canvas. It's actually part of your work to go out and see things and experience them in 3 dimensions. It's actually not, it's not a luxury, it's not something you do when you know what I mean? It's something who was it that wrote The Artist's Way a long time ago? And she talked about the importance of an
Oh,
artist's
yes.
state. Do you remember her?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and she talks about the importance of an artist's date. You make a date with yourself to go
Yeah.
and do something, see some art, or whatever that means for you. And it could be a museum, a gallery,
Yeah.
um,
Or
or
even,
even an art supply
coffee.
shop.
even sitting in a coffee shop.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
right, or just something on your
Yeah.
own where you're,
Yes. It's kind of breaking the
You-
routine. Yes.
yeah,
And she
Yeah.
recommended doing it once a week, but
yeah.
and I remember, which may add to this, is that when I was a mother of young children, homicide was on my mind more than once. Okay, and you know, you get very overwhelmed and all of that, and I learned that if I left them at school and went straight to the British Museum and parked at the back, I could get in before the crowds because everyone comes from the front, and I would have that place to myself for half an hour. And it completely
Oh, how
reset
great.
me into a sane, loving mother again.
You
And
know,
I did it quite often.
by the way, it's
Or-
great to hear that, because I just discovered that you can do that at the Met. And I
Going the
only,
back way.
yes,
Yes.
through, and I'm telling all of you, through the parking lot, there's a
The
public
parking lot.
parking garage.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
if you go into you can walk, there's a sidewalk, walk into the parking garage, and
Mhm.
through the doors down there, you can
Yes.
get into the Met before anyone is admitted through the
There you
front door
go.
at 10 a.m. Like the doors open at 10 a.m., something like
Yes.
that. You can get in and you can be in the
Yes.
museum just alone, all by yourself. And I just discovered that.
Good. Well, there you are. Well,
Because there
there's
were
a
huge
reason.
lines. I didn't have time to stand in them. And I just went, I got to go see this, show very quickly. And I
Yeah.
did. I went through the parking lot. So
Yeah,
be aware.
yeah,
Good to know. Good to know.
yeah.
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 Okay. So let's look at a work of art on
Yes.
Zoom.
On Zoom. Here we go. Okay. Come on, everybody. Can't be just
What am I
me.
doing here? Oh,
Being on Zoom.
let me just do this real
Yeah.
quick.
So while you're doing that, I just want to say that I worked as a social worker, and as soon as the day was over, I would do this at least once a week. I would head for New York,
Oh.
and I would go to the Met,
Wow.
MoMA, mostly
Yes.
the Met and MoMA.
Fabulous places.
Yeah. Sometimes the International Center of Photography when it was still uptown.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. What else? Yeah. Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, I sometimes I don't like to go to the MoMA, I have to say. Way
No.
too many people for me.
Yeah.
I can't enjoy it.
Wow, crazy.
Now you've got a hint. Yeah.
I can't enjoy anything anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But
very,
they have to generate money. I understand that, but you know,
Yeah.
I can't. It's like really, I don't
Sure.
know. I feel like
I
on the
agree, Hans.
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
totally.
station, or I don't know what. I mean,
when I was a student in New York City, I used to go to MoMA, and it was the old MoMA, and it was wonderful. It was just
Absolutely.
great.
mhm, mhm.
This is very interesting.
It-
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
is. Look
Well,
at
let me
that.
tell you what was going through my mind is that I
Yeah.
thought I'd try and do a bug collection with torn up pieces and cut up pieces. And I started with the big ones and I thought I could fill it in with little ones, but it just didn't work. So there it is. It's complete because whenever I put something else down, it made it go weird. So this negative space, which as you know is my thing, there's a lot of negative space there, and that's it. Anything I tried to introduce didn't work. I did wonder about maybe writing, you know, some sort of weird thing about butterflies, but that's it. That's what I did this week.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I like them. I like I like them because they're, each one has sort of something different,
They're rather jolly, I know.
which I
Mhm.
love this one. That's just it all is sort of
Mm.
flat
Yeah.
with these patterns.
Yeah, I added that afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, and this one like kind of looks like a flying spacecraft, like a Sputnik, you
Well, I
know.
noticed what you can do is you can get anything and put antennas on it and it turns into an insect.
I like it. Yeah, or an antenna. Yeah,
Or a
antenna.
butterfly, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're interesting. Um, you
Yes.
know, I'll tell you what, the only thing that bothers me
Yes, please do.
is that I think you're using this wallpaper
Yes,
as
I
a
am.
as a ground.
Yep.
Yeah. The quality of that paper doesn't thrill me, I've got to say. It leaves me a little cold.
Okay.
I mean, in other words, if these same things were on a kind of a paper that felt that it had a little more quality, even if it was a
Okay.
piece of newsprint, even newsprint has quality.
Okay. All right.
It is what it is. I can't quite get the quality of this paper. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah. Okay.
That's just a feeling that I have. So, I'm thinking obviously visually, but I'm also thinking how that translates into my sort of sense, textural memory. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. I hear you.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the folding part also. The
Oh, because
fold-
it's a concertina book that I've made. It's like a sketchbook or a notebook.
okay.
Um, so that's what it is. It follows on from last week, basically, when I did all
Because
those.
because then when I have this fold, I look at sort of 2 pages.
Yes.
Of
Well,
course,
that's
they correspond with each other, but still, in a way, it's like 2 pages.
okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
2 pieces which you are comparing with each other.
Okay.
I think this is a nice layout. How this is, or whatever, But yeah.
I like the image on the upper right.
Yeah.
I think that one is really well done, and it looks like the leg part is painted just
Right.
very uniquely that way, and I really like that. And if you were to take away the wingspan,
Yeah.
to me, it could look like a person with the head down.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know, this image really captures, it's very interesting to me, and I would like to see that super large. I don't know, there's something really nice about it.
Okay.
And yeah, are you
Can you zoom in, Mark, to see
Sorry?
one of these closer in to zoom in?
Yeah.
To
Which
see
one?
maybe how,
Can
the
you
one
see
which
the
Mary is talking
upper
about.
right one?
The upper right one to see how that's just with the plus. So,
Mm.
yeah. Down. Yeah. I see.
Do you see what I mean? Like, it looks like it could be somebody's hands that are up and the head kind of tilted down, and I don't know,
Yeah.
something really
I
interesting.
love it enlarged.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like all of them. I think they're really creepy. Very
Sorry.
insect-like.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
insects.
In terms of the composition of where you put them, are you going to add words or
I thought of it, but I think it is what it is.
Okay.
My intention was to try and do a collection like Victorian people, who pinned them to.
Oh, yeah.
And so what I did is I started with large ones, and then I had lots of little ones that I was going to add, but they just wouldn't work. And so I ended up with this odd arrangement with this crease in the middle with, and I just left it as it was, because whatever I put on there detracted from what was there. And so I could sort of see cutting them out and putting them, as you say, perhaps on better paper in a sort of as individual pieces. I could do that. But I mean, they're sort of like a joke, really.
What? They look like what?
A joke. They're almost like a visual joke.
Oh.
Well, they are a little humorous,
Yeah.
you
Yes,
know.
and I could think up some extraordinary names for them, you know.
Why don't you? Why don't you write with
I like
pencil,
to-
like imagine, Latin names of
Yeah,
each one of these?
pedictorial thorax
mean-
or something, yes.
Joe
You-
Biden dancing. Joe Biden dancing.
Joe Biden dancing. Which one is that? That's funny. Yes, God, there's a shame. Yes. Yes,
Oh.
of course. And well, I did think of it, and I did think of trying to do calligraphy, which I do, might work as well. And I did think of trying to make up ridiculous Latin names,
Right.
I did cross my
It's
mind.
an
I had to
insect,
do that.
like it's an insect collection or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I see that also as a book, if you would do
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I could do one.
many, and then you can actually do a book out of it.
Yeah.
Well, I might take up Mark's hint and make a book of sort of maybe watercolor paper or something, and in fact maybe make it not quite so big, and then, as I say, put in these ridiculous. I did it once with birds. I did a whole lot of things where I came up with some silly names for them.
I remember when I was a kid in the 50s and driving from LA to visit my grandparents in Texas,
Yeah.
and the windshield would look like this.
Oh,
You know.
yes.
Car,
Yeah.
and apparently there's that phenomenon has almost disappeared completely. Like
Yes.
there's so few insects now.
I know, because of pesticides. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they used to be all over the place, and
Yeah.
the windshield was the perfect evidence of that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
we
what
had
these-
that
that's what
experience
these
going to
remind me of.
Florida. Yeah.
Huh.
Yes.
Yeah, in a way, I get what's interesting. So the images themselves are a bit unsettling, but how they are represented calms you down at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that creates a very nice tension or contradiction, which I like.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Because if you put them too close together, they would probably lose it would
Well, that's
lose,
what exactly.
it would lose the thing.
You're right, actually. Because they're more spooky, aren't they?
Yes.
Like, how you come across something in your bathroom it rather was not there,
I could also see the negative of this, the reverse. Like, all of the actual pieces becoming light against a darker ground, like almost
Okay.
like like fireflies
Oh.
they made at
Okay.
night would be kind of magical and interesting.
Oh, that's a clever idea.
You
Yes.
could achieve that by scanning the thing, and then in Photoshop you inverse the thing, and then you have a black background, and the other things are like a X-ray type of.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I could
gee.
have some fun on Photoshop with that.
That might
Yeah,
add a different
Great.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
dimension.
Hmm.
That could be
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because there's so many fireflies out here this year, and they're
That's
just
nice
magical
to
and
know.
kind of beautiful.
Hmm.
But the X-ray
Yeah.
thing would be interesting, and
Mhm.
it would, it would make what's already strange even, ghostly and stranger.
Mhm.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay. I will.
If you did that, would you lose the color?
Well, you could, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
You'd have to experiment. Yeah.
it could be like a black and white.
Yeah.
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 I think that would be a shame because I really like the selection of colors.
No, it's just another thing. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's all.
Yeah.
It's just
Amazing.
yeah.
I sort of want to see them lined up.
Okay, I thought that if I did a smaller concertina book, I could do that because you'd undo it and then you could have them in a row.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
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 Oh, thank you, Ed.
No, nice.
Great.
Okay.
So it's nice opening up, just something like this to discussion because you realize there's so many places you can go because each of us,
Yes.
kind of sees it differently or wants to see things. And it really, it just loosens up the way we,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice use of collage,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Yes.
Mhm.
yeah,
Mm.
I agree. Yeah. So, I just put a bunch of paintings up. Does
Oh,
anyone
good.
want to look
Yes.
at
Sure.
some paintings?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
Thank
let's see
you.
what.
Nice,
Thank you.
Anita.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
for sharing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Hmm.
So this is by Picabia.
Ah,
Right.
Yeah, I see.
mm.
Mark, who? I didn't hear.
This is Picabia.
Yeah.
Picabia. Spanish surrealist. Dada.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Hmm.
I like that very, very pale pink. It's not something I think of. I like it.
Yeah. That's cool. Hmm.
Yeah, he was
It is-
different styles, different. He was
Sorry?
very over. He was all over the place with
All
different
over. All over.
artists.
Yeah.
Did a lot of things. Mm.
A lot of things. And
A lot
just
of things.
pure pleasure and playfulness and invention.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is this
Well,
Tapiz?
Buri.
Buri. I always mix the
Alberto
two.
Buri.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so
Mm.
interesting.
It is.
It really is. I love the mixture of texture. I never thought of, of materials, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That's burlap.
Yeah.
And in Italy, in post-war,
Yeah.
after the destruction, the devastation of the war, they were receiving food staples in burlap bags. And he
Right.
got a
Ah.
hold of this material and
Right.
just sort of ran with it.
Oh. Huh.
Yes. And the way it's patched as well.
But it's
Yeah.
just so elegant, it's so Italian. That
Yes.
red, is so beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if you pull the camera away, is that the complete picture, or is there more? There you go. Yes.
That's
All
it.
right.
That's it. That's the
That's
whole
it.
painting.
Mm.
Yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
You know, it's
Mhm.
Arte
That's the whole painting.
Povera. Arte Povera.
yeah.
How big is it?
Very.
This is probably 5
Oh.
feet by 5 feet, something like that.
Okay. All right.
Something like that.
Right.
1.5 meters by 1.5 meters, something. I don't know.
Oh,
Cool.
that I like a lot. Who's this? This is.
Who do you think it is?
Maltese.
Yeah,
Is it
Is
Matisse?
it really?
Matisse.
Oh,
How
it's
interesting. Yes, I see the SS there.
Intriguing one.
Oh. Oh, yummy. Huh. That's a yummy one.
Yes.
I would never have thought this was Matisse. It's great though.
Yes.
Yeah.
The lines sort of, even
Yeah.
the curves
Yeah.
in some way,
Yeah.
but the lines are very his.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
The sketchiness and
Right. In the green areas, you can see it,
beautiful.
especially. It is gorgeous. Mm.
Yes.
Yum.
Beautiful.
Where
It
is
is.
this? Do we know where this is?
I don't know. Actually, I have no idea. That I don't know.
Okay.
Very weird, but nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That is weird. It's a weird one.
This is Monet, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
That I know.
Yeah.
It's pretty dark unless it's
I think that's
Yeah.
how it is.
photograph. Yeah.
I
It's
thought it was Barbaros, but it's
Yes,
Oh,
that crossed
well,
my
I'm
mind.
flattered.
Yes,
Oh, thank
your
you.
word- your
The
word last
colors.
week.
The colors are pretty, I think, astonishing. Just
Yeah.
the range, within that sort of dark
Mm.
palette. It's
Mhm.
just the range of color is amazing.
Yeah.
From the reds to the greens and yellows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Gorgeous.
further away you get, the more the more coherent it becomes.
Mm.
Yeah, that's nice. I didn't think so when I first saw it, but yes.
I like it.
Yeah, I can see why now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still plowing my way through this biography of Monet that my brother
Anything
happened to
interesting?
give me.
Anything interesting you want to share?
Uh, it's a tome.
The tome?
Yeah, a tome.
Yeah, yeah.
It really shows how he was so dedicated. Seems like an understatement or a triviality. He was just he lived and breathed for painting
Yeah.
for his
Oh.
whole long life, starting as a young man. And in fact, he made a mess of his relationships and his friendships and exploited people like crazy, went into debt, was generally, I mean, I don't think he was a nasty person, not that it matters really, one way or the other, but he was just very one track. This was what he was about.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. The book is by Wildenstein.
By who?
By Wildenstein.
Oh, okay.
Wildenstein, yes, it's an older,
the art
one of
dealer.
the first biographies of him.
He's
Oh,
repeating
this is
that
great.
same cross line, isn't he?
I like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Wow. This is also Monet, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. So these are late Monet.
Yes, correct.
Mm. Remember when we went to oh
Yeah,
God, gallery was it? Oh, it was the big one. Oh,
yeah, I know what you mean. We saw his
yeah,
lilies.
yeah. The water lilies, yeah.
He's really repeating this. What do you think those is he looking at a bridge or
Yes.
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the bridge.
This
Okay.
is,
At Giverny.
yeah.
I think that wasn't he really like brilliant? I read that he was like really like a landscape artist and he knew what he wanted to paint and he like a scene.
Yeah,
He,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
hadn't
he
known
Took him
that.
a long time to get the funds to be able to buy the land. First, he rented the house on this land in Giverny, and then he finally was able to actually buy it, and as you say, eventually planted the gardens.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think
That
so.
was a really interesting insight because you have to be so passionate to be able to do that. And you have to be so devoted to your craft or your profession or whatever you want it to be able to,
Mhm.
live that way.
That he knocked around for so many years, renting places where there was no heat, sometimes no hot water, just dragging around his family and his sort of adopted family with this woman who was married to someone else, right? That he was living with, and just not being able to afford, so that when he became somewhat affluent, he really wanted to put down roots in one spot.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and instead of traveling all over the place, I mean, he was already middle-aged or late middle-aged. He wanted to create the environment that he could paint from.
Yeah.
he always depended on the landscape that he was
Yes.
looking.
Yeah.
I find that fascinating. So what you're saying is that because he had to move around so much, that
Yeah.
he really wanted to just be able
Yeah.
to stay in one space. That fascinates me. Wow.
You know what's particularly interesting about that is that as a modernist and as a complete departure from the academy, what he kind of did was realize that he could paint for its own sake. In other words, by creating a garden and
Yeah.
leaving the
Mm.
landscape, leaving the environment, like he didn't have to
Mhm.
go be a plein
Yeah.
air painter. He was
Right.
creating
So it's traveling.
interior art for art's sake. Like I can just develop my own painting,
Yeah.
and you can see from this
Mm.
painting that it's radical. It's
Yeah.
a radical departure from anything that came before it.
Yeah.
But this was a
Academic.
process. I mean, the early part of his stay at Giverny was, much more representational. So this evolved.
This evolved, but it evolved by virtue of him, leaving the,
Yeah.
quote, real world or the visual world or the optical world, not the optical world, but going into the world of painting
Yeah.
and just, so
Yeah.
this is it's like
Yeah.
a precursor to late Twombly in a strange way, like that Phyllis comes in with, these kind of colors and,
Yeah.
kind of freedom.
Hmm.
But I like-
Now,
Yeah.
Twombly just goes into his studio. He, of course, lives in Italy or whatever, or did live in Italy, and obviously
Mhm.
loved nature, looked at nature. But when artists went into their studios, they, they stopped referring to, the, nature as such.
Yeah.
It's all about painting.
But I like what you're saying though. When you say all about painting, you're saying that it didn't matter as much what they painted, or what do you mean by that
The
statement?
painting had its own terms.
Mm.
So paintings started to be, their own, set their own terms, their own logic, their own.
It was more like
exploration.
an inner landscape.
Yes.
An inner.
Yes.
So in other words, they were able to paint what they wanted to, and it was more,
It was like, yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, it was more expressive. Hans is saying it was more an interior
symbolic
thing,
Mm.
but at the same time, it just wasn't as, what's the word, dependent. It became its own thing. It wasn't as dependent anymore on,
Mm.
Yeah, because here you could say this is an abstraction of a real landscape,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
and once it's an inner, it's an abstraction of it's an abstraction.
Mm.
It's
I love this. I love the tones of red and the touches of green. It's just
And
stunning.
the
beautiful.
energy.
yeah.
And the naked, gestures, the energy of actually making this painting
Yeah.
is really,
I see
Right
also John Mitchell here,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh,
Well, she was, she was an impressionist in a strange way.
Yeah.
She painted in France, and that's where
Yeah.
art was.
Wasn't she like just one of the few women that hung out with these guys and was
Well,
friendly?
she was much later when you say
Yeah.
these guys.
Oh,
we're talking-
I don't mean, I mean,
He went maybe to the
she was like
You mean the-
thrown into the abstract expressionist.
yeah,
Those-
that's what I meant.
those
yeah.
guys you meant. Right.
Those guys,
I
those
knew
young
I
guys.
knew you meant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
But beautiful.
it is.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, it's great.
Ah.
Who is
Hmm.
this?
Yeah, also again,
Right,
Matisse.
right.
Oh,
What?
wait, Ron said it. I didn't hear.
It's Matisse again.
Oh, Matisse again.
Really?
Wow, Hans.
He made women.
Jeez.
I
Oh,
wouldn't know
those,
this.
they are very nice.
They're
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh,
Gorgeous.
look at that. Hmm.
Interesting what he does with the light.
I like how this painting just always intrigues. It just it will not come to rest.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
it's like, what is going on here? But
Yeah.
yet, I mean, it's obviously has elements of landscape. There's trees in there, but that's about all I can tell you,
Yeah.
Don't you think this is a little bit like what's his name? The push-pull? Um,
Hoffman? Hans
yeah,
Hoffman?
Hans Hoff. I think I could see, I don't know, there's so much movement.
Pulling.
Yeah, it's like,
This is a little more disciplined,
yeah, it's fabulous.
Hoffman.
Do you like Hans Hoffman?
I
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a better painter than I originally thought. I had seen some stuff recently
Yeah.
in the museum. Yeah,
He was quite good.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
These are great, Mark.
Thank you.
Oh, that's the last one. Unbelievable.
Oh.
Thought I had a few more, but
No,
oh,
that's
there's one.
Oh, yes.
Ah,
I took this I got this from Instagram this morning. This one.
artificial intelligence.
oh.
Has it been made by AI, dare I ask?
No, it's
No,
a real
okay.
painting.
Good, I'm glad to hear it.
It reminded me of what do you call it? Like Grant Wood or Thomas Hart Benton or something
Really?
off the American, plains.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
think it's not a great painting. It's a contemporary painter.
It just reminded me of Magritte because it's a little absurd, Look at the.
You know what? It looks like that period. I don't know if you're familiar with the period of Magritte where he just painted literally bad paintings.
Mm-hmm.
You know that period he went through?
No,
No.
I don't.
Sort of it was during the war,
Oh.
second, and they were just kind of awful. And he did it it was totally deliberate. They were just, I can show you some examples. I can find some, but
Oh, that'd be great.
this
Yeah.
kind of reminds, sort of, but not really.
Yeah. Well, just this strange eye-like opening, and
Yeah.
these are leaves, and this is not.
Yeah, yeah.
This is not a watermelon.
Uh-uh.
Look at this, the red and
Yeah,
Yes.
the way the green goes. It just is very much tongue in cheek.
It is. And the
Yes,
blanket.
and if that's a picnic,
Yes.
that would be if simply the food has taken over the picnic.
Right.
Oh,
There you go.
that's what it is. This is alien food.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Yes.
This is an
really-
AI watermelon, I'll bet.
Yeah. It's weird how they painted the
it's like
middle bit.
Sorry?
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think it's weird how it looks like a flower,
Yeah.
the center part
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
watermelon. It's interesting how
Well,
they.
the center looks like either a creepy mouth or a creepy the other end with an
Yeah.
eye.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
That consumed all of the part, the people at the picnic.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Yes, that's possibly what happened. The watermelon ate the people who came to the picnic.
Pretty funny.
Yes,
Pretty
exactly.
funny.
The revenge of the watermelon. There you go.
aha, that's it.
Funny.
Oh,
That-
That was
yeah.
nice. Yeah, great.
oh, goodness.
Oh, and then there's this one.
Ooh, that's lovely.
Yeah, that's
Ooh.
bacon.
Bacon.
Right.
that's bacon. Wow, I never would have known.
Really?
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Francis Bacon.
Yeah.
Van Gogh.
Oh my
worked in
God.
Van-
That's
You know-
right. It's Van
Yes.
Gogh with you see the hat?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
The artist.
Oh, but it's a portrait of Van Gogh by Bacon.
I think it is. Yeah. Right.
Because the hat is rather distinctive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, of course, the fields, the yellow and the sky. Now I see it. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I think those trees are so scary. Those 3 trees that look like hands and the
Mhm.
To
arms.
me, that black figure is terribly scary.
Yeah, scary too.
It is the
Mm.
color and the distortion.
Nauseating color. Ugh.
It's a weird painting.
Very
Yeah.
weird.
Let's
Yeah.
take it.
It's almost like, it's like there's like kind of multiple things clashing in this painting.
Yes.
You feel like that it wasn't like it wasn't a conscious or deliberate planned exercise. It almost looks like it just, came out of the making of this painting. These multiple, forces pushing against
Oh,
each other. That's what I feel in this.
yeah.
Yes.
Therefore, it
Well,
has a lot of energy. It again won't sit,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see the energy, sure.
Mark, getting back to what you were saying before, even
Mhm.
though for you, looking at all these images has not been all positive, it's been great for this group for today's session because I really enjoyed
Yeah.
seeing these and discussing them with everyone.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, these are
Thank
paintings
you.
that, sure.
Yeah.
These are paintings that I'm sort of familiar with.
Yeah.
These are it's just paintings that I have somehow, kept in my archives.
Yeah, they're
Mm.
fabulous.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I miss,
Yeah.
seeing the real thing,
Yeah.
on a wall.
Sure.
That's all.
Yeah. So are you going to be going in more often, do you think? Or
Oh, I don't know,
it's
um,
difficult, isn't it?
well, it is. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Um, let me see, let me get off of this. Hold on.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, especially in
Mm.
summer, who
Especially
wants
in
to go
summer.
into the city? I mean, I have to go next week, unfortunately. And dental, stuff. But
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I like it up here where I am, and you know,
right.
my
It's a
my
trade-off.
studio's here, and I have a lot of
How
you know,
far are you from Manhattan? Because you're in
little
Austerlitz.
little over 2 hours
Oh, okay. All right.
up the Hudson Valley.
Okay.
It's beautiful there.
It is. It's really nice.
It
It's
is.
beautiful right now. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Everything is lush. It's just
Mm.
summer full,
Yeah.
in its
Yeah.
full. Yeah.
Yeah. In the good old
Yeah.
summertime.
So, anyone else before we close this session?
Great session.
Great session. Thank you for the feedback as well.
Goes by fast, 2 hours.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I think that was it for today, right?
That was it for today. That was
I
it.
If we say goodbye to the YouTube viewers.
Goodbye, everyone.
Well, I can do that.